All right, hello and welcome. My name is Jason Welsh, and today we're going to be looking at a workflow that allows you to go from Adobe InDesign to Amazon Kindle Direct Publishing. Okay? I'm going to be showing you the ins and outs of the workflow, brief introduction to the workflow, and then we're going to be covering concepts like inserting images into it, making templates, how to keep organized, and in the very end, we got a very easy to understand 3-chapter little book with pictures, how to center your stuff, how to attach styles. It's a very cool video. It's rather long, but we'll get into it in the video. I hope you enjoy it and have fun. All right, so before we get started with anything InDesign or anything making templates or anything like Adobe, what I want to do is cover the workflow as far as written out is concerned, so it kind of bridges the gap, because if we get too far into the technology without a game plan, you might not see like how much work is involved here. It's not a terrible workflow. It's one of the things that you have to do certain things in order, and you have to be really organized. So let's get a game plan around before we talk about how to set up things in InDesign. So first off, we have a document. Okay, this is your book. You wrote it in Microsoft Word. You probably wrote it in Open Office. Maybe you wrote it in Google Docs. Okay, so you can be as creative as you want here, but it helps to learn the rules ahead of time so that as you're writing, you can be creative and you can save yourself some headache later on. So your first book might be a headache to make because you didn't know the rules to it, so you have to kind of fix some stuff. The second book, really easy to make. When you are getting all done with your book, it's going to be in chapters. Chapter 1, Chapter 2, Chapter 3. There's probably maybe a preface. There might be something about the author. There's these separate pages or separate chapters in here. So what you're going to do is we're going to end up taking the book, and then we're going to make separate RTF documents. Okay? RTF is a file format. There's doc and RTF. So RTF is the preferred nature because it's in a very easy language for all programs to understand, and it doesn't carry over a lot of styles. It's a very clean format, RTF. So that's the preferred one to use. I'll show you that in the video ahead of time. So what we're going to do is we're going to rip it down to separate documents for each chapter. Chapter 1 is going to be Chapter 1 RTF, Chapter 2, Chapter 3, Chapter 4. So you can imagine your spell checking, everything happens here. Okay, you are ready to go. Once you get to this phase, you shouldn't have to do any kind of spell checking or any kind of error correction. And if you do, you're going to have to do it in separate documents, which is a pain. All of these are going to go into a folder on your hard drive. Then, this time only, because this is your first book, we're going to be going into InDesign and making templates for your book. Okay? We're going to make a page template. We're going to make a table of content and a miscellaneous. Most of the pages, Chapter 1 is going to go on here. Most of in table of content is just a way to navigate the book. And then the miscellaneous is going to be like your About Me page, or your any kind of pre-chapter happens here. All right, so now we have our template. We can now import Chapter 1 to an InDesign document, Chapter 2 to an InDesign document, Chapter 3 to an InDesign document, and that's where these templates come in. We just open this, import the text, save it over and over again. Okay, so we might have another folder on your hard drive filled with InDesign documents. Then we make a thing in InDesign called the book. Okay, and the book has several InDesign documents all tied to it. And the power of this is unbelievable. We can make pretty broad changes to the book as far as how it looks, how it exports, how it navigates. But at this point, you definitely do want to have everything spell checked, everything correct at this point. Okay. Once we get done with the aesthetics of the book and how it exports, we then are able to make an EPUB file. Okay. And from the EPUB file, we go to Amazon, and we do this little vicious loop sometimes where we're taking the book, we export the EPUB, go to Amazon over and over again until we get what we want. Okay. Certainly, if you follow all the rules, things happen very quickly. But if there is extra markings or stuff like that in your document, this process right here gets a little slow. Okay, so that is the overall game plan. You can see how big the game plan is. That means this video is probably going to be pretty long. I would take breaks and try to break it up as best I can as far as the workflow is concerned. All right, so let's get. All right, so before we set up anything in InDesign or anything for that matter, we have to kind of go all the way back to the creative phase of writing. Okay, so I brought in some text from a book, Alice in Wonderland. I got this at Gutenberg.org, and I want to show you some of the markings that you have to kind of look out for as far as your writing. Okay. So you can use whatever program you want to write. You can use Google Docs, you can use OpenOffice, you can use Microsoft Word, it doesn't matter. Okay, but I brought this bit of text in because it has a lot of problems. Okay, so let's look at something. They're called non-printing characters. Okay, they're also called special characters. They're also called text markers. There's a few thousand names for these things, but non-printing characters look like this. Okay, they were used way back when to show, you know, where things start, where things end, as far as paragraphs are concerned. And you can see this bit of text right here. It has this little symbol right here. Okay. So when you're writing your book, when you get all done, you might want to turn that on. It's in Microsoft Word. It's in OpenOffice. You can get OpenOffice for free. It's a good little program. It is not in Google Docs, however. So you almost have to like bring it into another program to see these things. So instead of this character being here, it should look like this. I'm going to delete one and then space. Okay? This little mark right here, the little dot, the period that's floating, that indicates space. So I'll just fix this one paragraph. So all I'm doing is hitting backspace, enter, backspace, enter. And you can see this would take a long time to do. But I'm going to show you what a good paragraph looks like. Okay. So this is what a paragraph should traditionally look like. It has the paragraph marker, no space, has the paragraph, ends with the little paragraph marker, and then this, okay? And I could fix one more paragraph so it can show how it flows into it. Now, if I want to speed this operation up a little bit, in OpenOffice or Microsoft Word, they do have a find and replace. You can go to more options, choose regular expressions, and then I can highlight a bit of text between two of these and put a $ here, okay? And with the replace, I hit the space bar once. This will insert a character that you cannot see. I want current selection only and hit replace all. It was fixed 10 times. Okay, let's go back to that little bit of text. And bam, it fixed it for you. Pretty neat, right? It's not without its flaw, but it's pretty close. Okay, so I'm going to get rid of all of this because I only want this little bit of text. So that's what it looks like. Enter a hard return there for your chapter name, chapter number, your paragraph. And the reason you want this is because later on, all the way down the road, as we develop things, we're going to be inserting this block of text into here, into InDesign. Okay? So it would be better to correct it now before we get to that stage. We're going to be like saving it as an RTF. And we're going to be placing it into InDesign. And we're going to be removing the styles from it. And the reason we want it so clean is because we're going to be inserting our own styles onto it. We're going to be adding a chapter number, a chapter name, and a paragraph style. And because those things are in place, you can see how well that looks. You know, it manually put the spacing here for the paragraph. Okay, it automatically centered these correctly, and there was no any extra things that happened there. The text looks good, it flows well. So as long as you have clean text coming out of whatever the program that you're writing out of, you're going to have a really good time developing your book. And it all comes down to looking for these things. Okay. Cool. So now that we've kind of looked at that ahead of time, we're now ready to kind of like develop templates and everything else, or at least separate some text into 3 separate chapters. We're going to be working on a very, 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 very small book and how to put it together. All right, at this point you should have a folder, and the folder should have your book in it. Okay. Now I'm going to be using OpenOffice just to show you the workflow for it, but basically it's just copy paste it into a new document. So book, overall book, definitely should not have this thing we talked about as far as a problem is concerned. Your book probably doesn't have that, but it is the worst case scenario for this one. Okay, that means this book you could fix, or you can do it chapter by chapter. So I'll show you that. That's not recommended because later on you might want to actually get it printed as an actual book instead of an ebook. So I would fix it at this level. So all I did was I take chapter 1 and I paste it into a new document and fix it. Now, if you've ever come across something as bad as this, I will do one chapter for you just to kind of show you how to fix something like this. And hopefully it never happens to you. I'll do chapter 2 since I'm right here. So I take it, copy it, new text document, I paste it in. And a fast way to do this is first, where these these hard returns are, the ones that are aligned at the left-hand side, I will add one more by hitting enter for every one. Again, this might not be your problem, but here's how you solve it. So for every one that's lined up against this line right here, and I'll try to zoom in a little bit. There, that might be a little bit better. So for every one that's up against this bar, I'll add another one in. So this one, this one. Having too many, not a problem. Having not enough, problem. Okay, so there we go. Now, in OpenOffice, and you can do this in Word too, I'm just using this one. You can go Edit, Find and Replace. And for OpenOffice, it's going to be the number sign. You're going to go to More Options. You make sure Regular Expression is on. Replace with, I'm going to put a space here, and I'll hit Replace All. And what that did is it went in and fixed it. Except for some of these. Some of these, wherever you see a P now on this side, you hit Enter. This one has double on there. Double, double. Good, good. Good. Oh, here's one. And you get really, really fast at this. You can kind of spot them right off the bat. And here's chapter 2. That one needs one. This one needs a double here. So we got chapter 2, Pool of Tears, good flow. That's how you repair hard character returns like that. Then what you do is you save it as an RTF. So you'll take your book or a book, rip it apart, pick out 3 chapters, and make sure the text formatting is 100%. Once you have that, we can then talk about the template and what size we need to make the template and how to make the template in InDesign, which is coming up next. Alright, so before we make our template, I have to kind of go over ratios. One of the biggest things was a big question on my mind is, what size do I make my book? Alright, so before we get into making a template, let's kind of go over ratios. One of the biggest questions on my mind when I first started this was, how big do I make my book, right? Well, there's a lot of things to consider when making an ebook. One, your ebook is going to be viewed on several different devices. Okay, we're in Amazon Direct Publishing right now. I'm going to show you some examples and talk before we make this template. So one, it could be they are looking at it on their phone. Okay, they could be working on any kind of tablet in the world, or they use the Kindle e-reader. Okay, you notice something changes every time. This is a ratio of width and height. Okay, the phone is a different width and height than the Kindle e-reader. Some also things to consider as we make this template is the user on their end has the ability to change the font size to anything they want. They can read it as small or as big as they want. So when you're trying to be as creative as possible, know in the long run, the user, the end user, is the one in charge of how big fonts are. What you're not seeing is the fact that they also have the ability to pick the font they want. So they could choose to view this in Arial. They could choose Georgia. They could choose anything they want. So you also, as a person that wants to be creative, don't really have a whole lot of power to say, you're going to view my book in Georgia font either. What your primary job as a typesetter for ebooks is navigation and making it so it fits on all the devices very easily. So what we do is we make the template correlating to Kindle e-reader, and then Amazon does a really good job of being able to convert it over to the other two. So we only have to worry about the one ratio, this one that I'm going to go over, the height and width of this, and then bam, it automatically figures out these two. Notice that it has a chapter name or a chapter number, and it has a chapter name. Okay, that's another thing that's really important to have, because that way it has this. Okay, chapter 1. Now, if I wanted to have it so it said instead of in this view, chapter 1, I could say making templates, where you could click on it and it can go to that template. Yeah. Images, they have the ability, you have the ability to put images in, but the images will move around if you don't format them correctly. So I think a separate video altogether about inserting and placing images and organizing images would be a better route. But right now, just know template, and we're going to look at this ratio and all those things I just talked about. Consider those. Alright, to get the ratio, there is a section in Amazon that gives you the cover ratio or cover book in pixels. So I'm going to kind of show you how I did this, that way you can understand the ratio. So I'm going to give you the numbers too. If you want to skip ahead in the video where I get rid of the math, that's fine. but for right now, I wish somebody had done this ahead of time. And teaching digital art for 20 odd years, I can walk you through how to convert this over to that ratio. So we got 2560 pixels by 1600 pixels. These are pixel dimensions, okay? So that means that this is actually at 300 dpi. It's huge as far as pixels are concerned. And it's good, that's print ready. We're dealing with ebook here, so what we want to do is make it so that we have a usable template that's not so difficult to pick out font size at first, or work so big that it's not practical. So we're going to lower this down for type. So what you do is you take this number and you divide it. You can divide it by 4, but you can actually, I'm just going to step it down a little bit. So I take this number, paste it in, divide by 2 equals 1280. And these numbers will come in handy later when you're doing photos or pictures. So each number I divide by 2. Okay, I'm going to step it down one more time. So and you might also recognize these numbers. And this one's 400. I know. Okay. So usually this was 640 by 480. So these are pixel dimensions usually for your screen too. Okay. Sweet. Now, in order to get them over to a real size, like inches, you just take, we want to do it at 72 dots per inch. And that'll also support the fact that we're going to import 300 or very high resolution images later on. So I take this and I divide it by 72. And it's 8.88. And I can go 9 inches by then 400 divided by 72 is 5.556. So I just rounded it up because it's an infinite number. You can see that on the calculator. Nice. So this is the dimensions that you need to make your Amazon template. And if you ever have pictures and stuff like that, we can keep them in this ratio all the way. Again, covered in a different video, but there we go. All right, we are finally in InDesign. Wow. So we're going to make a new document. And InDesign will pop up. And you can go either File, New Document, or Create New. This is InDesign 2020. Not much has changed forever. So even if you have a newer version of InDesign, I've never seen this stuff change. So yeah, I think you'd be rushed this year if you're watching this video and you have version 2022. I don't think much is going to change about this workflow. All right, so we start out, make a new document. Here's the dimensions, 5.555. Round that up. .889. for the height. Now, margins. This is what I do, 0.25 margins all the way around the edge, except for the bottom, I make that 0.5. 0.5. Bleed and slug, we do not have to worry about anything about that for digital books. For this template, we are going to be using facing pages. We can also name the file here ahead of time. So this is my page underscore template. All right, nice. So the reason for this at the bottom is we have a page number that we're going to insert. So InDesign, if you've never used it, I'm going to kind of treat you as an InDesign noob so that everybody can do this, not just the experts. We have several panels over here. Okay, they all float around if you get them out of whack. So we kind of put them back in their little hole, and we can drag them into this area. Okay, commonly used for ebooks, we have pages, properties, layers, links, character, paragraph, and paragraph styles. I'll show you where all those are located in InDesign, so that if you ever lose any of those, you can pick them up. They are located right here. So the pages, layers, links, properties. For the character, they're located here, character, paragraph. And for the paragraph styles, you use character style or paragraph styles right here. Okay. All these can be mounted over on this side, and that's where you get them. So if you ever lose them, that's where you find them. So rough navigation. So under pages, you'll see that this icon looks like this. This is a facing page. That means at one side of it, there's this line, and the line indicates that it's a book type of page. I use this for anything like chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, chapter 4. And anything that like the explanatory one, I would use a different type of layout. So what we want to do is put page numbers down here on our template. So what we do is we go to our A master under pages, and we click here. Okay, this is page 1, and then we grab the text tool and we click and drag a little box out to encase text, and we then put our cursor in that box and then go to type, insert special, markers, current page. It's going to be a letter A. That's okay. So highlight the letter A, you can go to properties, and let's center that in the box. To save time, I'm going to go to the black arrow, take this, go edit copy, and edit paste. Throughout this video, I'm trying to utilize the menus to get you used to it. So there are shortcut keys, of course, but I'll let you look those up right here. Okay, so you can start streamlining that. I want to kind of show you where things are in the menu, though. All right, so there we go. We can go back to pages and click on our one page, and you can see it has a 1 here. It's got good margins, and that is a template. So what we do now with a template, we go save as, and we drop this down to template. We go over to our folder or hard drive. These are templates that we're going to be using all the time, so we want to keep them separate. Templates. This is my page template. It's already named. Save it. And a template file is really nice because if you are in a hurry, you don't accidentally save the wrong things on it. So now we're going to add our paragraph styles to this template. Okay, we do that by clicking on the text tool, click and dragging from corner to corner within the margins. I type out chapter 1 in a title, doesn't matter what you call it. The end of all things. And then the rest of this is going to be filler text. So we go into type, we go into filled with placeholder text. Bam. All right, so over here in the properties, you see we have access to character. We can also have access to character here in character. Same place. We're going to make this just a little bit bigger and center it and bold it. And you can get as fancy as you want, but just know in the end user usually has access to all this. Okay, let's highlight this one. We're going to make it slightly bigger. Center it. Maybe bold condense it. Okay. Here we're going to highlight the body text. I will need the paragraph tab for this one. And the paragraph tab has this feature right here, first line indent. Okay, I'm going to up that. And what that's going to do is move my paragraph ones over. Okay, how many spaces you put there is arbitrary. It's up to you. Cool. So I am looking at 3 different styles right now. I see this style, and this style. Okay, keep it very simple with the amount of styles that you keep in your book or your template. So in order to record these down here in the paragraph styles tab, I highlight, I click this button right here, which is the little button with a plus box. Click it. After it's made, you right click on it and say edit paragraph style. And I call this chapter underscore name. I would keep with a naming convention. Oh, actually, this is number. So chapter underscore number. Okay, this one I'm going to go highlight it, hit the box. It makes this. I right click on that. I go to edit. This one's going to be chapter underscore name. And last but not least, we highlight this body of text. Go over here. Hit the plus box. Right click on it, edit paragraph style. And we're going to call this text body. Now, if you ever want to get fancy, you can. I can always go into each and every one of these, text body, chapter name, and I can edit them at this point. Okay, so notice that it changes the text as soon as I click on any one of these. Let's say I want to just edit them. I just click anywhere, and then I can go in here, right click, and say edit text body without it changing anything. This thing you can get lost forever in. Okay, so just be careful. But if you want to change things, you can. You would change them in here only. Do not ever change them out here. Always change them within the style options at this point. So I can make the text bigger, smaller if I wanted to. I can do kerning. I can do any of my indents if I want to indent a little bit off the book. But make sure that you do a right and left if you do that. But that's what margins are for. So we don't have to do that. So yeah, get as creative as you want. Again, in the long run, most of the things change anyway. There's our template. We don't need the text anymore. We can get rid of all of it. What we really wanted was these things saved in here. Again, save your template. And now we have a working page template that we can use for every book that we have now. All right, let's move on to the other templates. All right, we're on our second template. This is our table of contents. So I went File, New. I typed in the same dimensions I did before. The only difference here TOC template, and I would, just for purposes of InDesign weirdness, if I do TOC, I don't do capital TOC. Capital T under or lowercase OC. Try to always stay away from the capitalized letters when you spell out TOC, because it's an InDesign word, and sometimes InDesign gets kind of wonky when you use it. All right, so that same margins as before, 0.25, and then at the bottom I have 0.5. The other difference on this page is I do not want to use facing pages. And if you're our InDesign guru, you're like cringing at this point because you're like, whoa, he's mixing page types. And there is different rules that you can break all the time when it comes down to this. And mixing page types is fine when you're doing with the ebooks. All right, so let's go to pages. We want to put our numbering down here. The only difference here is I'm not going to add the number. I'm going to right or click on this little triangle, and I'm going to go in here and choose a different style for the numbering. In this case, I'm going to use a letter. Okay. And hit OK. Now really, that's it. That is all you need for that page. You could get fancy, and we could add this right now, just for giggles. I can go chapter 1. Okay. I'll go in here and choose a property like centering. I will make this maybe a little bit bigger. And then I'll go to paragraph style and hit the little button and create that as a paragraph style by right clicking on it, edit paragraph style. And again, it's TOC, a appearance. Now the reason I use that instead of TOC style is because yeah, they're going to be different appearance. All right, sweet. That's always there if you ever want to change the appearance of your table of contents. Not necessary. Now we get rid of this, keep the style in there, and we name this page. So save as. Template. Now here's the good news. You can keep this template as the other one too. So it's very easy to make the other one. So all we do under pages is we go up here to the triangle and we lower this down to Roman numerals, and then we go to save as. And this becomes my miscellaneous template. Very easy. So now you have all three of your templates. Cool. We are ready to start importing text into our templates. All right, at this phase, we are going to be moving our text over to our Indesign templates. Okay, so this is a super easy phase, and you could be repeating it over and over again. So what we're going to do is first open a template. Okay, we're going to need a page template. We have a folder filled with our chapters. So here's chapter 1, 2, and 3. Those are the things that we're going to import. So back into InDesign, we're going to go File, Place. Show import options should be checked. I'm going to check my chapter 1, hit open. I'm going to remove all styles and formatting from text and tables. Make sure that's checked. And hit OK. Hold Shift and click. All right, so in your pages, you should see that it imported all my pages in here. If you held Shift, it worked out really well. Okay. I'm going to say Show Hidden Characters. And I'm just going to do a little zoom on this to kind of look at it. You can see these little characters here. See them? Do a copy on that. Do find change. I'm going to find these little guys. They're kind of weird, and change to nothing. Let's do a find next. Good. So one worked. So now I can hit change all. Find next. Looks like they are unfindable. So just clean up anything like that. It's a Control minus Control plus to zoom in and out. Good. I think I got them all. Yep. All right. So now what we're going to do is go in and apply the style. So under paragraph styles over here, we have body text. So I'm going to first hit Control A. That'll highlight everything. And then I'm going to assign it text body. Now I'll go down below here to the last page and make sure there's no such thing as overset text. So overset text, you'll see if this is red, there is overset text. That means there's text on a page that doesn't exist. It usually warns you, so in this case it did not have any overset text. If it does, we have to make another page to add it to. Alright, so I'm going to apply the style. On chapter 1 here, I'm going to make that chapter number. This one, I'm going to highlight it. Zoom in a little bit. Chapter name. And then I'll take these type and hide them so we can kind of look at it. Good. That's looking really nice. Really nice. Oh, there it is. Overset text. See it? Okay, good. Glad it appeared because that way I can show you how to fix it. So to fix it, you just click on the last page and you hit Create New Page. It makes a page 6. You zoom out so you can see page 6. You hold Control, click here, then hold Shift and click here. In this case it was a space, but it's fixed. I don't have overset text anymore. Had there been a character, it would have shown up down here. Do I need that last character? I don't. You know what I mean? Like that's problematic. To get rid of the extra, I could just go maybe get rid of some of these stars. I'm sure the author really wanted those. Okay. And now I can get rid of that. Again, check to see if there's a little red box. It is not, and we're good to go. So this is my chapter 1. And this is going to be saved under video book as chapter 1 INDD. Now I have to repeat that step over and over again for every one of my page. Chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3. And the same for any kind of miscellaneous pages. So like preface, for example. Alright, I'll do a miscellaneous page and a TOC page to show you how those work. So this one's all done, chapter 1. Let's open up our template for miscellaneous. Let's go in here and place our preface. Remove all content. Now anytime, then you hold shift here. So anytime you're working with a miscellaneous page, it means it only has one page. Let me be clear about that. It only has one page. And the formatting really isn't important on these. You can add a new format if you want for your preface or any kind of miscellaneous. I showed you those in the last video. But make sure you save that to your template so you can use it over and over again. Okay. I am going to leave this as is. And we're going to save it in my video book. And we'll call it preface. Now the table of content is really easy. You don't do anything for that one. So let me handle that one right now. Here's my table of content. And all I'm doing is saving this as into a different folder and call it TOC. So in that folder, I have now my chapter 1, my preface, my table of content, and I need to do chapter 2 and 3. I'm going to do 2 and 3 off camera because I've covered everything that you need to do on chapter 1. It's just a repeat. Alright, now you have all 3 chapters in a preface saved as InDesign documents. They all look very good. None of them have overset text, as I talked about. Okay. They all flow. They all have their different styles attached to the different parts of them. So now you're ready to compile them into a book. Okay. So just kind of recap the folder. Here's chapter 1, 2, and 3. Okay. Here's my preface, my table of contents. Here's the RTFs. These extra files are unimportant. These ones right here, these are because I have these documents open. So you might see those. And yeah, there's the organization in that book folder. Okay. We can actually close out everything too. Make sure there's no asterisk anywhere. The asterisk would indicate that you didn't save. Alright, so we go new book. And we want to save this right in this folder. And I'm just going to call it book 1. And then you hit the plus box here. This is my book panel. It pops up as soon as I make that book. And I click the little plus, and then I choose all of these. I hold shift to highlight them all. And now we can put them in order. So preface would go right here. Table of contents would be up here. And you notice that right now I have a table of contents, preface, and I have these. It starts on page 3. We do not want that. So we're going to fix that first. To do that, you just double click this, chapter 1. It'll open up the document. And in chapter 1 we want something special to occur. We're going to click this little triangle, and we're going to put start page numbering on page 1. There we go. I got page 1, 6 through 10, 11 through 15. Now a book, if you open it up, usually the chapters begin on the right hand page. And what we want to do is support that. Right now these are, I got an odd page, even page, odd page. What I want to do is make these all even. And I think I'll be able to show you what that looks like here. So we want this to be here. Oh, we got another little guys. Make sure to save. So we're going to move all those just by using the book panel. So you go like this, you click, and we say book page numbering options. This is a little button right here, book page numbering options. And we want to continue on next odd page and insert a blank page for us. Cool. Anything open, you're going to have to file save it. File save it. Any of the other ones that are not open, it did it automatically for you. So now if you open up chapter 2, you'll see that it began on the right hand page, and it automatically inserted a page for you. Good. So the problem with that is the table of contents, if you double click on it, it inserted a page here, and the preface page, it inserted a page here, and you cannot get rid of these. Boom, see, it won't let you do it. So I'm going to show you how to do that. So once you get it done, reordered, renumbered, before we make it so we can get rid of these, we're going to go and we're going to update numbering, update all numbers. This will make it so the page numbers all succinct out so that it renumbers all the pages. And yeah, then we're going to go in here and take book page numbering options and turn that off now. So at this point, you should save everything again. File, save. Anything you see a star next to, file, save. File, save. TOC, we'll go there, and now we can get rid of this extra page. We can double click preface, get rid of this extra page, and save again. You're always going to be saving over and over again. And here's how you save your book. This button right here. All right, now have a book. We got to make a table of contents, so I'll show you how to do that in the next part. All right, let's make a table of contents. So we're going to have open our table of contents in Indesign. You can just double click that in your book. And then we're going to go in here to Layout, Table of Content Styles. We're not going to have any in here, so what we're going to do is make one. We're going to hit New. I do not want contents in here, so I'm going to close that out. I want the chapter name for this example, but certainly you could have chapter number. Yeah, let's have chapter number for fun. Let's add chapter number in there. So a long time ago I had a TOC appearance. I'm going to put that in now. I do not want any page numbers. No page numbers. The reason for that, this is an ebook. What will happen is if you have this on there, it will not update when it reflows. So you cannot have page numbers in your table of contents. The table of contents on an ebook are links. So none of those. We do not want to create PDF bookmarks. We do want to make text anchored in source paragraph. If you don't click this, you'll get an error message. And that is it. Yeah. Let's hit OK. So that's just the style. And anytime we need to update that, we have to update the style by just hitting edit. In order to put the table of contents in based on that style, we go to table of contents. It's already been set because it's in style. I click OK and just click. There we go. So chapter 1, 2, and 3. Because the preface didn't have any kind of style attached to it, right? It didn't have one of these. Had it had one in there, we can add one to it. I think I'll put that in the next video, like how do you add something to it and how do you update this, right? So right now we have only the 3 chapters and a table of contents. Make sure you save. Alright, so what I want to do is show you how to add something to your table of contents. Okay, so that's why I didn't do anything with my preface. So my preface, if I double click on it, at the very top, I don't have anything. Okay, so what I want to do is hit enter, type in preface, okay, highlight this, and you'll see that I don't have any kind of style in my TOC to add to this, right? So how do we get the style here from like chapter 1, chapter 2? We want the one that says number. How do we get that? Well, very simple. So what I do is you grab this, copy it, go over to Preface, and you can paste it in anywhere you want. Paste. Look what happened. It gave me the style. Okay? I can get rid of that now. I don't need the text. I just needed the style. And then I can add that to Preface. I can just highlight Preface and put chapter number. It's not a chapter number, but that's what I used for my table of contents. Okay? I can now hit File Save. Cool. So now over my table of contents, since that's saved, make sure everything is saved again. Save. Save. So under table of contents, I can click on it with the black arrow, and I can go Layout, Update Table of Contents. And voila, Preface pops in. So that's how you add it. That's also how you copy styles over to different pages if you need them. You don't have to do any kind of special tricks, just copy whatever text over to the thing and then delete it when you're done. Bonus lesson, yeah. All right, save this out, save this out, save my book. Good to go. All right, now we're going to start the exporting phase. And what does that look like? All right, you've reached the export phase. Congratulations. This is a very long journey, right? Now, what I would highly suggest having is the KDP Amazon.com open. Okay, this is Kindle Direct Publishing. Okay, you have an account. You should have one. If you are interested in making ebooks, you'll probably want to go through Amazon, right? So we're going to make a Kindle ebook. Now, what happens when you make a Kindle ebook? It gives you this little draft, and that's all I really want. There's several ways to preview an ebook, but only one really good way to look for errors, and that's go directly to the source. So by making or hitting this button and filling out the first couple things, you'll get this, okay? A draft. And in the draft, you can go to Edit Ebook Content. So it doesn't matter what you call this book. This is going to be called, like, it's just there to make it so you can look for errors. Sooner or later I'll have a book here, but for right now it's just my error looking for content. So here's my Edit Ebook Content. I just have that launched in the background, and then I'll go back to InDesign and we'll export the book. Alright, so I'm ready. So to export a book, first off, you can close all of these, make sure they're all saved. Okay, have my book. Then I'm going to go into this, and I'm going to say export ebook, EPUB, export book to EPUB. Okay, I want it in the video folder. I want it to be reflowable. I'll call it ebook 1. I want EPUB 3.0. I want the cover to be none. We don't actually make the cover in InDesign. We make the cover in a separate program. And if you look at the very first part of this video where I talk about the size of the cover, it's in there. Okay. So this, we're going to go multi-level TOC style, and if there's nothing here, that's fine. We're going to leave it as default. Should be something here. So this is probably telling me that things need to be synchronized. So let's hit cancel. I won't gloss that over. So what we do is we put this here. This will synchronize all the other pages based on the TOC. So we made the TOC last, okay? That means we have to synchronize everything to it. That's what this thing is. Anytime you make changes to any one of these, the look of it, you can put this in front of it and then hit this button with nothing highlighted. So you have to click down here. Don't have anything highlighted, click down here, hit the synchronize button. It'll use this table of content to synchronize the entire book. That will copy over any style that's on this page that we made. Okay, so let's go back into export book to EPUB. Again, we want reflowable. Same, save. Let's go EPUB 3.0. No, none. Now let's go to multi-level TOC style, and voila, there's my TOC style showed up. That's how you get that to show up. All right, next, let's go to text. Nothing really changes here. Here, nothing but this changes. Relative to text flow needs to be on, and align to center. This is how it's going to write its cascading style sheets. Something you don't need to know about right now. Conversion setting. Well, if I get pictures in here, I want them to be 300 ppi, so I'm going to put that ahead of time. HTML. I'm going to have it generate the HTML. JavaScript done. This metadata, you should fill this out with your title, your creator, your date, all this good stuff, because this will help you in search engines like no other. Okay, so this is very handy. Viewing apps. In fact, if you fill this out, some of the stuff that translates over to Amazon is read through here. So just letting you know. Save you some typing later. Viewing app, doesn't have it. So I'm going to hit OK. This preview is absolutely not what you're going to see, but it is handy to see. This is the built-in one in Mac. And a lot of the things that you see here probably are going to look different on Amazon. So even though it looks good, who knows, on Amazon. All right, so what we do is we have that saved out. We upload the video book, the EPUB file, and we do not do anything at all while this is doing this process. So it'll say save successful, but right here, processing your file, this needs to go away before you go to the next step. So don't ever click this one without this one being gone. All right, uploaded successfully. We're now ready to hit launcher. So here's chapter 1 through 3 with my preface. Preface shows up. Good. So nice. So again, they are able to change all their font, the size of it, They can be as blind or as the greatest vision in the world, but it reflows quite nicely. So the table of contents, what I want to show is the NCX view. So you'll notice this NCX view is matching that first table of contents. Notice that I have to go all the way back to my table of contents just to get to a different chapter if I want to. That's highly inconvenient. That's why NCX works. Okay, and again, that is dictated in that style that we said. In case you ever want to know how that works. That was a big, huge mystery on how that worked at first for me. So the table of contents style, this right here, is what's driving that NCX, this thing. And that gives the user two different ways to navigate your book on their little Kindles. All right, well, that's it. I mean, that's the workflow in a nutshell. You can change in the long run. You want to keep this as plain as possible because they're just going to change their font anyway. They're going to read it in whatever font they want. So you can get fancy, but there it is. I am going to show you how to insert a picture, but there are many rules when it comes down to pictures. So I'm only going to give you like a couple examples of it. That's when you start pulling out your hairs, when you start inserting images, but it's not too bad. Just keep it simple, because you also got to consider the text is going to have to flow around that picture. The picture is going to be the same size. The text flows around it. All right, so I'll show you that in this next section. All right, so we're looking for just a small little graphic to sit in the book. And here's Alice Wonderland, okay? That's what the book is. I'm going to put this as Creative Commons license. Oh, I love that one. Okay, so I'm going to right click on it and I'm going to save image as. And I'm going to put this in my folder. Now you see this is called web, you know, this should not be this format. Okay, it should be a PNG. So that's telling me that this image right here might not be compatible for what I want. I'll do it one more time just for fun. No, it's a Google Web thing. I do like this image though. So I'll follow it one step further. And let's get into this. I know it's under Creative Commons now. There we go. So here we go. Good. So any Creative Commons file, no matter how many people try to sell it or try to give it away, it will show up as a Creative Commons Google. So just letting you know. If you find it in here, it's going to be a Creative Commons. Even though a couple of these I really do question, maybe, but it says licensable. Cool. All right, now how do you insert that into the book, right? So what we want to do is try to break this. I'm going to insert this image right here. So the first thing I'm going to do is make sure there's some room down here. I'm going to add a page if there is none, but there is a page already in place. And where the picture needs to go, I'm going to say starting here. I'm going to edit, cut. Okay, so I cut that text out. It's still in my memory. I'm going to go to the black arrow and I'm going to move this up. Okay. I'm also going to delete all of these text boxes. Okay. If I see this, it's overset text, so I want to lower this down until that goes non-red. All right, so I'm going to grab the text tool. So I'm going to make another text box right here. And paste. There we go. Told you we're going to break it. So there's that. Okay. Now you notice it has overset text. So we're going to keep doing that. We're going to hold Control click, Shift click. Look at that. So now what I do is I have an opening of text. And if I need, I can make this bigger and it will push it down this way. I can now place my image. So I'm going to place the girl PNG. Click anywhere. This is going to be really big, so I'm going to make it smaller. And I'm going to put it right here. Now the preview will not update just yet because we have to fit content proportional to that. So we have the frame. This is the blue indicates a frame. So I'm going to go to Properties and I'm going to hit this right here, Fit Content Proportional. There we go. So now I have a little image there. All right, so I need to anchor this, and that's what this blue dot is. So I take this blue dot and I drag it to the quotes. And that will anchor that. How things work in flowable text, things have to anchor to other things. What we need to do is save it. Here, we're going to have to make sure our numbers are updated. So we're going to take and to update number, update all numbers. We already had a page down here below, so it shouldn't make too much of a change. All right, we're ready to export this EPUB. So we're going to export it, EPUB1. Okay, let's hit cancel. We're going to do that one more time because I didn't hit the reflowable. Replace it. All this stuff stays the same. This is where it's dictating what resolution that thing's going to come in at. There we go. So good. Okay, now does it survive Amazon? Is the question. Never be happy with that. Go to book details. Upload ebook manuscript. Upload it. Wait for the processing your file to disappear. Okay, uploaded successfully, and let's launch Previewer. Okay, that was in Chapter 1. There we go. Chapter 1, there's your little small graphic. Text flows around it. You could test that out by increasing the font. Bam, it stays right where it's at. So I'll briefly talk about complex scenarios. For example, if you wanted pictures in your book that are side by side. Here's an example of that. You would have one big graphic and then you would lay it out inside Photoshop to have those pictures side by side. You wouldn't take and bring them into InDesign, for example, and then put another picture here, okay? And then group those together. So how you release something is like this. Oops, let's undo that. If I right click on it, I go anchor object release. That will release that anchor. And what I was talking about is, let's say I had this one right here and I put another one next to it, okay? And then you could group these together. Now, I have seen a few videos myself, and this concept right here is absolutely not the way to go. This, what we'll do is it'll stack the two images on top of each other because it doesn't understand what a group is. It's writing XHTML. So don't do this. Always try to do this. You would have the two images in a bigger image, and then you save that out as a PNG, and then you bring it back into InDesign. So instead of two images that are grouped and put up here as an anchor, you would only have one image inserted with an anchor. That's how you release, is you go to anchor object and release. Oops. And then you object ungroup if you do that. But again, don't group. That was just an example of what not to do. Oops. There we go. And then to re-anchor it, you just go like that. All right, now we're going to run through an advanced thing of placing, okay? So something a little different. So we're going to be placing the image at the very back side of the book. Right here on chapter 1, the very last page, I want that image to show up here. Okay, so let's zoom out so you can see what the tail end is. Okay, there's going to be a text box. It usually is right here. If I want the image to show up here, I'll go and drag it up. So let's take this very same image, Command C it, Command V it, Command C, Command V is in Victor, and then drag it down here. So the same rules apply if you put one down here, is you can anchor it to a character. In this case, it's that asterisk right there. And let's go and save this chapter. And let's go and export my EPUB. I want reflowable. Replace it. Export. All right, let's go see if the image is there. It is. And you can see that it pushed it to the last page. See? Bam, bam. And you can't go any really smaller with the text in this preview version. But you can see as I'm actually changing it, it does get pushed around. It does get pushed around. As long as chapter 2 stays where it's at and this goes up and down, it's okay. Rule of thumb is never stack this on top of this, and that will happen. But you can, and it might be things that you put down here. I would think about small things. So for example, if I auto fit this to be really small, right? Then put it here, you might want small things at the end of a page. That way, if they do go back and forth, they continue on. They don't get pushed onto the next page. This still might get pushed onto the next page, but because there wasn't a whole lot of room to begin with. But keep things small here if you do decide to put something at the tail end, like a little mark at the end of your chapters. So I just wanted to show you that. Nothing changed as far as like the idea. I like encompassing the image in text. You can go this route also. The other way I do that is a very unprofessional way, is make another text box here. Okay, and in that text box, I will make a period. Okay, it's really small. I'll zoom in. There's my period. Okay, and then I will make a style on chapter 1. I'll right click on it and edit it and call it hidden. And under the size, I will make it 1 point. Okay, I'll highlight that period and make sure it's got hidden. Then I will make sure this is in front of chapter 1, synchronize the entire book to give hidden to all the other chapters. I'll save it. Forgot reflowable. So go like this, go to EPUB, make sure it's on reflowable. So you know you did it right if there's a little dot right here. Again, what that does is if it was a smaller object, it allows it to not only push it back and forth, but it also keeps weird things like chapter 2 from creeping up onto this. Okay, so if you do have problems where chapter 2 tends to go over here, or if you're writing a textbook, this is a sneaky way to keep all your images locked if you're doing a textbook. Again, kind of unprofessional, but it does work. Alright, for our last little trick is what I want to do is kind of show you why this is occurring. Okay, I saved something for you right here. Okay, so by now you're like, well, it didn't center it, right? So that's very easy. What I want to do is show you how to update a style across your book. So let's kind of look at that. That's our last thing that you might be doing. Other than adding pictures, you might be updating styles across your book. Okay, so it doesn't matter where you make the change at, as long as the style is located in that area. Let's say chapter 1, for example. I've been picking on that a lot. Let's maybe change it in chapter 2 now. So if I'm going to make the change in chapter 2, I make sure that this is on chapter 2. So this style right here is not behaving correctly. It is called chapter number. Okay, let's kind of open this up under paragraph styles, edit, and let's kind of look at it. So in here we have basic. We can make any changes we want in here. Never make changes out here on a style. Always make changes in the actual style itself. So for example, if we go down to indents and spacing, it says centered justified. Centered justified really isn't a thing in ebooks. It will just throw it to the left, to be honest with you. So here we have left, right, and center. These three right here are 100% correct. Anything else not going to really fly when it comes to ebooks. So we want center. All right, cool. And if I hit OK, nothing really happens over here, right? Because it's already centered. But that word centered is pretty important. So I changed chapter 2. I changed the style in it. And now I want to make sure this is here. Click anywhere and then synchronize it. Okay, after I synchronized it, now I can export book to EPUB. Bam. Nothing really changes here. So again, you can try to rely on this preview thing. Look at everything changed. Bam. Pictures, pictures, pictures. It does have the ability to lower or make the text bigger, but not really lower it any further. And you can see it does allow you to switch out different things. This is a very Mac thing. You won't see this in Windows. But in the long run, you should always work with this workflow right here. Never the and Kindle Publisher Preview, the application, is not a good concept at all. I always use this. The Kindle one, the previewer, absolute nightmare when it comes down to it. You never see anything that's 100% accurate. The only 100% accurate I've ever seen when doing this back and forth is uploading it, patiently waiting, and hitting preview. So all we're doing right now is looking to see if that's centered everything just like the preview is. Okay, let's hit preview. Okay, let's go to chapter 1, and sure enough, that centered it. Nice. Again, always change your fonts, different size, good, centered it. Cool. All right, that's it as far as the workflow is concerned. Alright, so if you liked this video and you wanted to, let's say, support an artist that just wanted to release a video to help out, there's some links below in the video to support the typesetting artist. There might be even a book down there in the near future where you can order it on Amazon. But this video covers everything also. It's just the idea that you might be using this video to better your books and be more creative when it comes down to you as an author. So if you like it, donate to the cause. And if you don't, that's okay too. I just want you to be as creative as possible. That's my end goal. So thank you and have a good one.